Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live conversation. My name is Jessa Slade. I'm the Assistant Manager of Financial Resources here at Treehouse, and I'm very excited to be here with Jaël Allen and to be able to answer some of your questions. If you do have any questions, just enter them into the chat and we'll be able to answer those as best as we can. I will let Jaël introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jaël. I am the Driver's Assistance Program Coordinator. I handle driver's education and DOL, or Department of Licensing Services. And it's kind of strange because in normal times, you and I are sitting right there in that office, right next to each other. And
Here's your desk.
yeah, that's my desk. I miss it so much. I haven't seen you in like 2 months. And so I'm really excited to really just kind of hear about what's been going on with work for you now that like we're not all together anymore.
I know. Back in, I think it was February, it was very long ago. I work with just in time funding. So we provide financial support for youth in foster care. And we just work to remove those financial barriers, such as extracurricular activities and academic support. So back in February, we were just kind of gearing up for our busy season, which is usually around right now. So we would normally be sending youth to summer camp, processing payments for graduation packages, prom, all that good stuff, all those important milestones. So now we're just kind of adjusting the way that we are providing financial support to our youth, and it's more based on what they're needing right now. So it is a little different. I feel kind of sad that they don't really get to experience the normal things, but
Yeah.
we're doing the best we can with what we have.
As we all are, for
What about
sure.
you?
Like I said, a driver's assistance is definitely making some of those changes as well. I would say that summer is usually our busy season. So, like you said, we would be gearing up for one of our busiest times. But I actually started in the summer last year, so it feels like a norm for me, especially since last year in the fall we had a lot of requests for driver's education. But now, I would say over the past 2 months, driving schools have been closed and the DOL offices are still closed. So just trying to manage that and helping youth still apply for courses, even though they've transitioned online, just kind of trying to manage a lot of the communications that are going on and still just trying to make sure that we are able to help, our teens get their driver's license during this time just to try and provide some sort of normalcy under all of
Right.
this. But yeah, I would say that everything about how we usually run has changed just because of our, current situation. So I'm curious about how just-in-time funding has really made those changes as well.
Yeah, right now, a lot of our requests are slowing down a little bit. A lot of our extracurriculars and sports places have been closed for the past 2 or 3 months. Some of them have switched to online classes, which has been great, and we've been able to pay for those as well. For our older kids in our graduation success program, we're really focused on supporting them and making sure that they just finish the year out strong. So we've been trying to provide them with laptops, whether that is through the school district or through us. We've also been providing them with phones, access to internet, just so that they can stay connected with their support team. Um, and honestly, we've been finding out other ways to pay for things. So usually we would just pay for classes via check, which is the easiest way to do it. But because we can't be in contact with people, we've switched to more over the phone or online payments, which I'm sure our accounting department has appreciated over the past couple of months.
I
Um,
bet.
so yeah, definitely it's been different, but in some ways a little bit easier. So I think that's good. What about you? How's your
Yeah.
changed?
Like I said, over the past 2 months, driving schools had been closed due to, the governor's shutdown. The DOL is still closed. So A lot of driving schools had to change how they were delivering their courses. A lot of people ended up having to start taking their courses online via Zoom. So that was a thing that a lot of our youth had to make a transition for. And now we've actually seen that with our new rephased openings, some driving schools are starting to open up with some limited operations. So that's really great. We've had
Yay.
some youth that, yeah, we've had some youth that have been trying to get some practice sessions done, and they're testing. So seeing that light at the end of the tunnel during this pandemic for them has definitely been something that has been a relief. So there's been quite a lot of delays, and it's just really cool to help youth and care teams kind of work on reassessing their needs, and just kind of help really get things prioritized for youth that are 16 to 18. But for the youth that are 18 to 21, driving is definitely something that they're looking to do right now, especially if they do have the opportunity to get a job. Having a license to drive and make deliveries is great. So it's really great to be able to do things like that. We've even actually changed how we pay some of our vendors. A lot of driving schools had to shut down, as I said, so we started making payments via Venmo, which was something that we don't usually do. I was terrified, very, very terrified to do that one. But our accounting department worked with me, and we got it done. And so I was really happy to be able to pay for 2 youth, one of our tribal youth especially. So yeah, being able to serve youth during this time. And again, like I said, that light at the end of the tunnel for, our 18 and up youth has been really good. So I would say that driving along with prom is quite the milestone. I know that grad night and commencement, losing out on those things is a real bummer for our kids.
Yeah.
And so the ability to start the license process is, like I said, a bit of return to normalcy. So I know that you come across a lot of those milestones in your funding requests. So I was just wondering what some of those were looking like right now.
Yeah, we've still been making some payments for some graduation packages. Youth just want their cap and gowns just to have.
Yeah.
Something different that we just did a couple of weeks ago was provide funding for transportation. So we were able to purchase an Uber gift card for a youth to go to their high school, pick up their cap and gown, and as that was happening, they organized a parade for their
Oh my
seniors.
gosh.
So
That's
they
so
were
cool.
able to go to that and say hi and thank you to their teachers for the last time. So I'm just really grateful that we were able to provide that experience for one of our seniors. I always feel like I'm one step removed from seeing the impact that resource services has on the youth that we serve, and just hearing those stories just reminds me like why I do the work that I do. So
Right.
I'm really happy about that. We have a question from Erica on Facebook. How many youth are utilizing driver's assistance right now?
Well, I would say right now we've got about 50 youth in our delayed transactions. And I think we've got about 20 right now that we are currently about to serve that are going to be starting in June. So we've still got quite the load that are starting, that are currently in courses right now. Like I said, I think youth and care teams are kind of working on prioritizing. So I definitely see a little less requests for youth that are, ages 15 to 17, but youth ages 18 and up, they're definitely coming in to get that to get that license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any interactions with caregivers at all? How are they doing throughout this process?
Yes, I would say that one, during this time, as we know, financial resources are just a big thing that's in question for everyone. And the process of starting to achieve a license for a teen can be really confusing. And so caregivers are often reaching out about it. And now that we have the time to really go in depth about what it means to take care of that is really great. I actually had a call with a caregiver the other day about a tribal youth who was eligible for our services, but we were trying to navigate the different barriers that they were facing as far as eligibility, and just kind of communicating with everyone did become a little bit difficult because I think that we're all operating remotely and unlimited communication. So that was tough, but we ended up working it out and were able to serve the youth, and they were getting their driver's ed covered. So I think being able to provide that sort of relief and just be sort of a friend and a person to kind of help caregivers through this process during this time, especially when it can be so confusing, has been really helpful. So,
Yeah,
or just,
sure.
yeah, just reminds you why you do the work.
Yeah.
So what about you and your relationship with caregivers right now?
Um, I work with mostly high school aged youth, so I don't have a lot of interactions with caregivers. I usually just talk to education specialists, but I know that some caregivers are kind of just sad about not being able to have their kids involved and participate in certain activities. And they've been really appreciative of Treehouse and resource services for still being open and processing requests as normal. Caregivers, they're just looking for some extra support and financial relief during this time. So I'm glad that we are still being able to provide that. For example, we've provided funding for youth to get like coloring books and puzzles and things that they can do at home with their families instead of being out and about. So it's just shifting the kinds of things that we're paying for. Um,
Definitely.
then on Facebook, can you talk a little more about how essential driver's assistance is in connection with all of the essential services that youth access?
Yes. I think that this is one of my favorite questions of all time because it just gives me the opportunity to show just how important driver's assistance really is. I don't think people recognize just how difficult it can be for youth and care teams to get youth their state ID or a learner's permit or a driver's license. Just navigating the pre-application online is so difficult sometimes, and the
It's a
words are
lot.
just it's so much. So being able to help care teams, and especially, like I said, our EFC youth that are looking to start their jobs and, get into community college or start a new trade program, they'll need a license or a state ID at least. And having some sort of identification right now is something that we're definitely trying to advocate for. It's really hard during this time considering that DOL offices are closed, but we're still accepting those requests. We'll still reimburse youth and care teams when that does, open up, and we're more than happy to pay for those. But it's definitely an essential thing for our youth right now. Like I said, it's almost the key to everything, having identification. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely an essential service for our youth right now.
that's awesome.
Thanks.
Um, well, I just wanted to put an ask out there if there are any other questions before we start signing off.
Man, I just really miss being in the office with you. It's
I
just been so
know.
long to talk about like the Masked Singer and
Yeah, I probably at this point I'm coming in like once a week. It's definitely a little bit different because I'm used to seeing faces. Like as soon as I walk into the door, there's always just volunteers and staff everywhere. But lately, it's just been nobody.
Looks like we got another question. What are some memorable requests that you get to fund through just-in-time funding?
Memorable requests. Hmm, that's a good question.
Guess like our favorite little wins.
I know. Um, Honestly, there's just been a lot. I've been at Treehouse for about 5.5 years now. I started with Treehouse working in the store for a couple years, and then I switched over to just-in-time funding. There's just a lot of different things. I miss being able to come in here and like especially when the store is open and see youth interact with staff, interact with other volunteers, just see how people are talking about Treehouse in general. It's just that's just a part of my work that I'm missing and that I just don't get at home. Even with all the meetings that we have, it's just
not the same.
It's not the same. It's just not. As far as memorable requests, we did. This is very recent, maybe like late February. We provided some soccer goals for a couple of kids because they really enjoy playing soccer, and obviously they can't be playing on a team right now.
Talk about just in time,
Right
before a pandemic, they get soccer goals to, yeah.
They just wanted some soccer goals so they can practice outside. They were living in a group home, so they were able to practice together. So
that's
I'm really
great.
glad that we were able to make that happen.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have anything? I know you've only been here for what, a year?
I would say 10 months now. I
Yeah.
started at the end of July.
Yeah.
So yeah. I would say there's so many. Like I said, I started during a rush, so I've been able to see just so many different types of requests. I would say the one that has stuck out the most recently, just because it was happening during this time of transition, was one of our extended foster care youth. He was about 19 and he was looking to start the process of achieving his license and really was a little confused about how and where to go. So we had approved him and he did everything to travel between Treehouse and his driving school and just everything he was working so hard to get. And so it's just been really amazing to see that, you know, he was lost in the process. He didn't know that he didn't have to do a full course, and we were able to walk him through this process and cut out some of the unnecessary steps and just kind of help him move along. Now he's got his permit. He's in the process of taking practice sessions. He's just got to schedule a test and he'll be licensed. So I would say that that's definitely one of the things that really motivates me, is seeing just how passionate our youth are about achieving their goals and willing to do anything they can to get there.
Yeah.
And just to be a person to stand on their side and be on their team, you know, to you know, help them with that self-independence. You know, you don't want them to do it alone, but it's so great to see them doing it on their own. It's really great to sort of have that. So yeah.
What do you think some community members can do to support our financial resources, staff, and essential needs?
Well, driver's assistance is a state-funded contract, and so our contract, from my understanding, won't be impacted. Will be good through 2021. So the best way to ensure that our programs like driver's assistance and just-in-time funding and, you know, graduation success can all succeed and thrive is to join our Advocacy Action Center. Tell your representatives that our driver's assistance program is essential to our foster youth. It very much so is, you know, helping our youth get the just-in-time funding needs for their laptops and, you know, getting licenses for, you know, Zoom or, you know, anything that they'll need in this time, making those adaptations, letting our legislators know that these are things that our youth are in need of right now, and we want to be there to help them. And so definitely getting our community to be advocates on our team as well is something that we're striving for.
I ditto everything you just said. Were there any other questions before we sign up? Question. All right. Do you have any other memorable requests that you want to put out there?
I mean, I could go on for days and days. I would say that I have another pair of brothers that had been on hold for a while for their driver's education, and I just received some communication from their driving school that they're reopening and they can schedule their practice sessions. So yeah, definitely just feeling a sense of weight off my shoulder, I guess, as we hit this rephasing of openings, and just really hoping that we can show our legislators and our representatives and just the people of our state that this is an essential service for our youth. There are youth that are being heavily impacted right now, and we can pull together to really help them. And we are stronger together. So definitely excited to be, part of a team and part of Treehouse that can do this and advocate for youth out there.
I completely agree. With that said, I think we're going to sign off. So thank you to everyone for tuning in and listening to us. Our next Facebook Live will be this Friday at noon, featuring Reggie and Roland, who are both
they're a pair.
education specialists.
My favorites.
We're also hosting a virtual graduation spotlight featuring 2 of our 2020 graduates on June 17th. And we hope that you all will join us for that as well. So it was nice catching up with you.
I know. I miss you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe in the office.
I know.
Say hello to my desk for me.
Hi. Well, Jess.
Bye.
Bye.